My laundry machine takes quarters. Where does one just get quarters? I'm gonna go on Amazon. You can buy like rolls of quarters on Amazon. Get the package. Empty.
Parents of trans species kids, what are we doing about Donald Trump getting rid of the trans species child tax credit? Because for the past 4 years since Biden got in office, I've been receiving $12,000 a year. My son identifies as a CAP, and that's counted as a disability.
I'm 22 years old and I have $37,515 worth of credit debt. I also have a $7,992 student loan. I also still owe $55,829 on my car.
My generation, Gen Z, and millennials are so financially screwed. We're doomed. Like, no matter what it is that we do, I think there are outside influences making it extremely harder on these generations. And I also think these generations as a whole have no idea how to budget, no idea about finances, and no idea about investing. But could you blame them? Who was supposed to teach them? The school district or the parents? That wouldn't make it Gen Z and millennials' fault now, would it? I don't know. If you guys have an opinion on this, let me know your thoughts down below. Is it Gen Z's fault? Is it millennials' fault, or is it the older generation? Or whose fault is it at this point? Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
I'm an idiot, and here's why. My laundry machine takes quarters. Naturally, I'm like, where does one just get quarters? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go on Amazon and buy quarters. You can buy like rolls of quarters on Amazon. I'm like, perfect, I'll do that. And I was like, 72 rolls for $10? That the math doesn't equal up, but that's a score. Like, I'm getting 72 rolls of quarter sleeves with quarters in them for $10. Like, I'm like, okay, stupid. Amazon's losing money. Get the package. Empty. It's just 72 plain quarter roll sleeves with no quarters in them. I don't really know what I was thinking.
This is going to be a tough video to watch if this is how we're going to start it off. You know, we're just one video in and it's making my generation look totally clueless and totally incompetent when it comes to anything related to money and finance. This is pretty bad here. You know, I don't even want to be associated now with my generation. I'm 26. I gather I'd be considered a Gen Z, but I don't think millennials have it that much better either. But honestly, I mean, can you blame her? In her defense, the pack did show quarters in the roll, but unfortunately, common sense isn't all that common anymore, because I don't know why you would think for like $10 you would get 72 rolls of quarters and make that much profit on Amazon. It just tells you that this generation, especially younger than me, has no idea what like physical hard money is. It's crazy. It's really crazy the way we're turning as a society, like the way this younger generation is being brought up. Like the only thing they know about is V-Bucks on Fortnite, digital money. They've probably never touched a dollar, have no idea what dollars and physical hard money is, let alone quarters. I guess quarters and coins are becoming totally obsolete in 2024 for the younger generation, because all they're doing is using, Apple Pay, Venmo. They'll never actually see what money is or have any understanding. It's real bad. But then again, who's supposed to teach her? How is she supposed to learn? She's not learning it in the school. The school, clearly the education system, at least public school, is failing her. They're not teaching it. We know that. And you would think her parents would be the only ones that would be teaching her this, because her friends aren't. So is it her fault, or is it the boomers or whatever generation her parents are in that are not teaching her about general common sense when it comes to money and finances?
The laundry machine takes quarters. Where does one just get quarters? I'm gonna go on Amazon. You can buy like rolls of quarters on Amazon. Get the package. Empty.
Where do you get quarters? Go to the bank with Amazon. The bank, right? You know it. They keep all the monies there. All the quarters. You can find it. You know the bank, right? The bank where they, with that. I gotta be able to explain that to you, right? You can't Amazon money. What are you doing, dude? Let me tell you something. You guys thought millennials are bad. This new generation's cooked. Well done.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. My generation and the younger generation is cooked. I thought millennials were bad. Gen Z is apparently worse, and I can only imagine whatever the generation after Gen Z is, the next one that's coming up, because to not know where quarters come from is such a bad look. I mean, let's erase whatever points Gen Z has in regards to financial competence, because that is out the window here. I don't even know what to say.
I'm 22 years old and I have $37,515 worth of credit debt. I also have a $7,992 student loan. I also still owe $55,829 on my car.
How does it keep getting worse? How the hell is she able to get a car for $55,000 in debt when she's carrying over 30 grand in credit card debt? But this tells you that it is so easy to be broke. We said it in the live stream if you didn't watch it. It is so easy to be broke, and it is very difficult to be financially responsible. Anyone can go broke. Anyone can take out debt. It's very easy to accumulate debt. Understand that. Unfortunately, it's not common sense anymore, but if it comes easy, it's probably not going to last or be respectable. Just think about that for a minute here. If you're able to get 60 grand in credit card debt that easy, there's ulterior motive, and you probably shouldn't be doing it, because if you want to be wealthy or you want things that are, of value, they're typically hard to get. They're hard to obtain. So if somebody's pushing 60K in debt on you like this to a 22-year-old that's carrying 37 grand in credit card debt, that should be a red flag.
In total, I have about $100,000 worth of debt. If you're anything like me, you haven't made any credit card payments in over 6 months. You have creditors calling you every single day, and you're feeling hopeless. But don't stress out. There's an answer to everything, and you'll get through this. I'll get through this. We'll get through this together. As of today, my credit score is a 498.
Oh my God, it keeps getting worse. Worse and worse and worse. 100 grand in debt at 22 is incredible. I didn't even think that's possible. Why are people giving her out loans so easily? Second, she hasn't made a payment in 6 months. They're constantly coming after her, the debt collectors. And on top of that, she has a 490 credit score. How is she getting loans?
So join me on this journey to pay off my debts. We'll see how high I can get my credit score. I'm also not here to give financial advice, obviously. I'd probably be the worst person for that.
No kidding. Why even throw that in? You'd be the last person, unfortunately, I'd be taking financial advice from on how to accumulate negative $100,000 by the age of 22. That is absolutely insane. I am literally telling you, my generation is so cooked. So cooked. Why is nobody telling her that this is not a good idea? That's the problem with this society, is we live in such a predatorial sales society here that people will manipulate and influence and coerce you and not give a shit about you as long as as long as they sell you that debt, they get their commission. They don't care. They'll be your best friend as long as you sign off on that thing and take out that debt. This is insane.
If you want to watch me tackle this debt, I'll keep my TikTok updated. And yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'm also super curious about what car she got for $55,000 at the age of 22 this year. And the only two things, no offense to her, but at 22, the typical, stereotypical car that I would think that girl would get, because everybody did it in my, high school when I grew up, was either a Jeep, typically a Jeep. But I was like, there's no way a Jeep would be $55,000. You'd be insane. You could literally get a used Jeep right now for $25K. So that doesn't make sense. But the other stereotypical girl car to get, the trendy one, is a Ford Bronco. And that's the only car that just came out that's new, that's selling for like $55,000. So I did a little digging on her social media page, and Lo and behold, I found that she bought and financed, probably owes more than what it's worth now, a 2022 Ford Bronco Wildtrak, the stereotypical car that girls get at this age. Makes total sense. All for, TikTok and social media and Instagram posts. My generation, when I was in high school, every girl that had rich, wealthy parents asked for a white Jeep Wrangler, and they got it. The 4-door white Jeep Wrangler, and they got it. It was like a fleet. Insane, but it's the stereotypical car. And now that the Ford Bronco looks eerily similar to it, that's the next car. And they are not that reliable, all of them. But that's besides the point. That's another video.
It is easier to be fat than fit. It is easier to be broke than financially secure. It is easier to be single than in a healthy, loving, beautiful relationship. It is easier to be dumb and dopey and dependent than to be a free-thinking savage. I guess in a way, another way to say this is, you are what you eat, you look like you live, and you earn what you're worth.
It's so true. You look like you live. So the way your complexion is a representation of the life that you're living. If you're extremely overweight, extremely unhealthy, more than likely you're not going to the gym, you're not eating clean, you're not dieting. I mean, these are good representations here. And unfortunately, these first impressions carry weight in society. People do judge people. Unfortunately, that's how it is. Want to call me rude for pointing it out, but that's business 101. That's just how it is. First impressions, going to a job interview, people can tell. If you roll up to your first job interview and your car is a absolute filthy mess, doesn't even matter if it's an old car. Could be a brand new car. Could be a 1990s car. Doesn't matter. But if it's clean and well kept together, it's a good representation of how you're going to treat their office or what's going on up in here. If it's a mess and filth and your room's disgusting, more than likely you're all discombobulated, confused, and everything's all over the place in your head too, or how you live. And you lose things, you can't find stuff, everything's all over the place. So it's got a lot of weight, it carries a lot of weight within success and finance. And also remember, it's very easy to be fat. It's very easy to be broke. And it's very easy to be unhealthy and discombobulated in today's culture because society pushes that. It pushes that on us. All these big advertisers want you fat, sick, and poor. That's how it is. So it's very easy to fall into that here. It's very difficult to get the opposite.
Parents of trans species kids, what are we doing about Donald Trump getting rid of the trans species child tax credit?
Excuse me, getting rid of the what?
Because for the past 4 years since Biden got in office, I've been receiving $12,000 a year because...
Repeat that slowly. You've been receiving what?
My son identifies as a cat, and that's counted as a disability.
I don't think I can even reply to what you just said. Not get a community violation.
Me too.
So they sent me $1,000 a month to help with raising him and his transition and all that.
Excuse my ignorance. His transition to a cat?
There's no way this actually... I mean, I'm not surprised. No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone, Planet Fitness. But there's no way. There's no way this could actually be true. And I didn't know about it. I'd be the first one on that roster. If I can get $12,000 for free a year, $1,000 a month, why haven't I known about this?
But Donald Trump's getting rid of that. So what are we going to do? Because I've been using that to pay for my mortgage payment.
Oh, boy.
Half of it, because my mortgage payment is $2,000. But what are we going to do? I feel like
Either I'm slow. Yeah, that sky is beautiful today. Or that's some crazy math you just did.
in this bind financially because my son, since he identifies as a cat, the school doesn't really tolerate his cat-like behaviors.
It's Friday. My husband got paid, so let's budget our paycheck.
Did you hear that right? I mean, you know, call me non-old-fashioned, I don't know, but that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Did that rub you the wrong way? I don't know. This goes back and forth, but just watching this for the first time, that I don't know why that kind of irks me a little bit. You know, it's Friday. My husband got paid. Let's budget our paycheck. Our paycheck. It's crazy too because she looks not a day older than like 21 years old here. But I understand. I mean, I definitely know traditionally, you know, when you get married, obviously, your money becomes our money. There's no his or her money. Although I do think there is some importance to each person being slightly independent and having their own money here. That's a topic that goes back and forth. I think you should maybe have a joint bank account if that's the way you want to go, and then also have your money and also have his and her money. I think that's fine. But that kind of just rubs me the wrong way. Let me know. Does that rub you the wrong way? What?
This week, he barely got anything. He got $1,074.21. Granted, he took over half the week off, so it was really nice to have him home. Well, let's write it down. In this planner, it's amazing. I love it. I love being able to write everything down. So, $1,074.21, 150 for food, 100 for gas, and then 100 for just spending. So that is $350. So I'm going to put the rest of the money towards our debt. So yeah.
I heard kids in the background. Did you hear that? Replay the video. I heard a baby crying or something, making noise in the background here. I don't know. I think the whole age thing is throwing me off because she looks super young. I only know people when I went upstate to college having kids right after we graduated at like 22, 21 years old. They were having kids right after. And I don't think it was planned. High school, not so much. It was very almost frowned upon in my high school on Long Island to be having kids. I think most of Long Island, I just think people are having kids much later. So I can understand from that perspective, you know, why but just the way she said our money when it's him working just is kind of throwing me off here. But I get it because traditionally, yeah, when you're married, it's our money. So it does make sense. But, you know, let me know how you millennials and Gen Z see that. And then boomers, I'm sure you have a different perspective on it. Or maybe you don't because they're young. I don't know. But I'm curious to hear your opinion on that.
Young people have every reason to be enraged, and every issue they see, they look up, they get angry, and they see someone doing better than them. And then every day it is speedballed in their face that they are failing, that they are not doing as well as everyone around them. For the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. That is the social compact breaking down. People aged 30 to 34, 60% of them in 1990 had one child. Now it's 27%. People are opting out of America. They're not optimistic about it. They're not having kids. They look up, they see wealth, exceptional wealth across my generation and people in certain industries, and they are really struggling. Their purchasing power is going down, and the incumbents create artificial scarcity on campus. The incumbents who already have a degree see their degree go up in value. We get very concerned with housing and traffic once we own the housing. Housing permits are sequestered from young people. Housing prices have gone from $290 to $420 in the last 4 years. So a young person, a house, stocks that I don't own skyrocket in value. Let's have COVID relief and flush the markets and take assets way up, because if 1 million people dying would be bad, it would be tragic if I got less wealthy. And we're doing it on their credit card. We have lost the script. Our kids are more anxious, they're more depressed, they're more obese, they're more addicted. And we have made a purposeful decision to let this happen by ensuring that people around this table stay wealthy at the cost of young people.
I mean, that is incredibly well said from a business perspective, somebody that has possibly like inside knowledge on this. And it's so true. See, who runs these big pharma companies, these big industries, big credit card companies? The people at the top, they're not my generation. They're not millennials. They're not Gen Z. They're baby boomers or older. Those are the ones that are running this. Those are the ones that want to keep up with wealth. You know, go all for them. Capitalism. You know, everybody can become a millionaire, but it is making it exceptionally harder for the younger generation to keep moving. And who would want to have a kid? I mean, just the thought of it is like laughable. At least for me, it's near impossible. I mean, right now, if I thought, okay, I'm going to have a kid, then my thought of having a house is out the window, because it's so expensive now to just live. It's so expensive now to afford things just for me. I mean, let alone it, like it's expensive for insurance. It's expensive for car insurance, health insurance, rent, car payments, gas, the groceries. Just those things alone make it very difficult to survive, just me, let alone trying to survive and, taking care of my girlfriend too. You want to throw in a kid into the mix? How the heck are we going to afford that? Insurance goes through the roof because, kids are very expensive and they get hurt a lot. So the thought of even owning a home is out the window if I was to have a kid. So obviously we're choosing not to have kids because we can't afford them. We can't afford them.
Ta-da! Whoa. New girl?
New girl.
What happened to the old one?
I got rid of it.
You got rid of it?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I got rid of it. So you can give me one.
You paid $500 for a new grill?
Yeah.
But the other one was like good. It works still. Nothing
So this is bigger. And look, got some meat.
Meat?
So you can start grilling.
Wait, but how'd you pay for this?
It doesn't matter.
Well, I want to know. I mean, how'd you come up with the money to pay for this?
I sold my...
What?
It paid with the credit card.
With the credit card. Mm-hmm. So that means you didn't buy this for me. I bought this myself.
No, you bought it.
I'm paying for it.
Oh my.
I bought it. Let's look, your favorite beers.
I know they're my favorite beers, but I don't know. Where's the other one?
It's over there on the other side of the house.
Will I return it? I like the other one.
No, what the heck?
I mean, it's nice, cool, like...
Plus, since I like eating chicken, like, you could put the chicken right here.
Well, thank you, I guess.
Bro, that is wild how he reached for the beer because he knew he'd probably be finishing that pack by the end of that day. I promise you that. That is wild. I can't imagine. I don't know. So basically, he works. It's his money. She stays at home. This is what I'm gathering. And she went out, used the emergency credit card, the shared credit card, and bought him a gift with his own money. That is wild to me. And then I don't blame him for feeling that way because it's kind of crazy like that. And that kind of goes back to the other part of the video where we were like questioning mixing finances. I totally understand it, but you got to be very, most divorces are caused by finances, by money problems. That's the biggest reason for divorce. And I'm not surprised. The problem is when you're reckless with money, you don't understand money, it causes a lot of problems. You saw the emotion on his face, and he's going to end up returning that. At least I hope so here. And she's going to get upset and blah, 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 blah. It was a nice gesture and thought in theory, but he's going to have to work overtime or extra or whatever his savings were to get out of debt. Now it's set back because she bought that. That is wild. And that's the problem with mixing finances, or maybe not the problem, but just not being on the same page financially, not understanding and budgeting together here. It's always a fear. I know it's bad, but it's always a fear of mine. Not that it's going to happen here because, my girlfriend's very, very, very well, put together when it comes with money. She at one point when I met her, she had way more savings than I did. Way more savings. So she does very well for herself, and I'm very proud, and she's very proud, and she should be because, she's a saver, and I've helped her become an investor too. So she is doing very well at her age compared to everybody else. So it's incredible here. People look up to her. It's just awesome, but it's hard to find that. It's really hard to find that.
Ideally, by the age you're 30, you should have at least $100,000 in the bank.
I think it would be nice to have maybe like $5,000 saved.
Definitely $100,000.
Probably like 60,000 to like 250,000.
It's really
Oh, great. Again, ruining my generation. What the hell is 250,000? What is 250,000? Come on. 250,000.
a fair question because where do you live?
By age 30, you're halfway towards retirement. You've got to have a nice nest egg at that point.
I always heard growing up that it should be about like 20% of a payment for a house.
That feels responsible. It feels 30. It feels 30.
All right. That's a question for you guys. Comment your age down below and how much you're supposed to have or did have by the time you were 30. I would like an answer to that. Should you by 30 have 100K, 50K, 20K, 30K? 5K? What is it and how much did you have? I'd love to know your opinion on it. Drop it down in the comment section below. We'll see what I end up at. I got another 4 years ahead of me before I hit that, but I don't even know if I have an answer to that. It's tough. I think there's like statistics there, but I think you should have, by 30, probably somewhere between 50 and 100K, I would think. Maybe that's a lot, but by 30, if you're working in your 20s, I don't see why that would be that difficult, to be honest.
I just saw a TikTok of a girl saying that she can only keep her checking account at $4,000 at a minimum without getting nervous. And she was asking people like, hey, like what's like the lowest that you can keep your checking account? And I just wanted to say that my checking account was never lower than when I was throwing everything at my dad. We would get paid on Fridays and I would spend all of the money on debt, on bills, and then I would just be like, okay, that's future me's problem. We're gonna just have to deal with like $20 next week to buy groceries with. And like that only led to more credit card debt. It wasn't until years of doing that and just feeling that constant sense of danger and emergency, alert, there's only $20 in the bank account, that I realized, wait, like, what if I don't pay that bill? What if I don't pay that credit card? What if I just like do my best to stay afloat and make sure first that there's spending money so that I don't have to dip back into credit cards? This is when everything changed for me, and I don't want to like be one of those alpha males that are like, and then I had a wealth mindset, because I did not have a wealth mindset, but I started realizing like I'm not living for my debt. I'm living for my life. I'm living for my salary. I'm living for my family. Like we need to have spending money first. And thus, I have now decided that I always need to have $1,000 in my checking account at the beginning of the week. So before gas, before groceries, but after bills. So bills still get paid on Friday. Not everything gets thrown at the debt. It's minimum payments. And then going into that weekend and going into the week of needing groceries and gas, I need $1,000 for miscellaneous, for food, for everything. Now, I don't always end up having $1,000. Sometimes it'll be $600, sometimes it'll be $400, and those are the times I get nervous. And you might be like, oh my God, that's so much money. Bro, it is not so much money in 2024. Like, that is no money. So yeah, how much do you want to have in your checking account, ideally, after bills, spending money to have for the week that makes you comfortable?
She's living proof of why you don't do that. That is a failed method. Hopefully she learned that quickly and that she's not doing that anymore. That's a question that gets answered or asked a lot. Sorry. How do you pay off your debt? Dave Ramsey says go crazy and throw as much money to it as possible. But for that reason, you have to have an emergency fund set up, like he says, and you start with $1,000. Now he's been saying that for years, $1,000 since we started. And if you account for inflation, I don't think it's 1,000 anymore. Maybe he's touched upon that in recent episodes, but it's probably closer to like 2 to 3K, I would think, at a minimum. 2 to 3K in that emergency fund to cover crazy stuff like bills, like she's talking about, and then filling that back up at the end of every month or at the beginning of every month, filling it back up to 3K and then attacking all your debts and bills and yada, 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 and then throwing everything towards the debt is the proper way. Because yeah, it makes total sense. If you have tons of credit card debt or tons of debt, and at the end of the month, you are taking all of your money that you earned and throwing it into debt, and then you have $0, you don't have enough for the groceries and the other things that come up, and then you're forced to put it back on a credit card, and you'll never actually get ahead. It's like a cycle that keeps happening. So you have to break that cycle, and in order to do that, you do have to build up an emergency fund, have that set up there so that you don't do that. It's good effort wanting to pay it off as quickly as you can. Totally agree, but you also need that safety net set up to prevent you from going back in and dipping back into debt again and credit cards, because it is a problem and it's interesting. So that's something you guys should think about too. But that is going to be it for today's episode, guys. If you like this type of content, let me know down in the comment section below. Turn on post notifications, subscribe, answer some of those questions. And if you haven't already seen my previous episode on people refusing to pay off their debt in 2024, it's crazy. Make sure to check that out. I'll be posting it right after this. Subscribe, drop a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.